Sie bieten neueste Games zum Dumpingpreis und werden millionenfach genutzt. Keyseller haben nicht den besten Ruf, aber längst ihren Platz in der Spielebranche. Hassen die Publisher dieses Business oder unterstützen sie es sogar? Der größte Marktplatz für Game Keys ist eigenen Angaben nach G2A. Ich habe mit Gründer Bartosz gesprochen. Hello Bartosz, thank you very much for taking the time today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Jörg.
So you are one of the founders of G2A. Back in 2010, you founded it together with a colleague called David Roszek.
That's very correct.
In Poland as a retailer, and you switched to what is now G2A in 2014. You are headquartered today in the Netherlands, and you have also offices in Hong Kong and in Poland.
Yes, today G2A is a very global company with our clients in almost 200 countries.
You claim on your website to have about 30 million users worldwide. I don't know what your annual revenue is roughly.
We are not disclosing that. However, we are proud of it. G2A is, for the last, I think, 5 years, the largest marketplace in the world for digital, especially gaming items like games, software, DLCs, gift cards, etc. Over 75,000 different items, different offerings on our marketplace.
So how much today of the revenue is coming from your original game keys, roughly, and how much is everything else?
About 60% is the gaming part of the business, and the rest are different other categories. G2A is purely digital business model. So we had this 3 years, I think, experience with being both digital and physical. But it's very difficult to win with Amazon when it comes to logistics, to the global footprint, etc. And you have to be very honest about it. And we decided to be purely digital company, purely digital offerings, and that pays off very well. The business is growing heavily last year, almost 30%.
So roughly 60% of your revenues are still coming from your traditional business model.
Very important to recognize that G2A is purely two-sided marketplace. So it's like eBay for gaming.
So please explain to me, how is it that I can get a brand new game at G2A.com? Like Dragon's Dogma 2, which I just checked a couple of days ago, for roughly 2/3 of the price of what I would pay at the same time in the German Steam store, with you still turning a profit, I guess.
This is one of the questions that always private equity funds that want to invest in G2A, they ask me. And it is very important to understand the gaming market, how it works. In the perfect world, probably for publishers in the perfect world, there is only publisher and the client, and between them SRP, which is standard retail price. But unfortunately, not in gaming, neither in fashion, in cosmetics, in many different industries. The market is not being like this. So the market in gaming looks this way. Always, at least at G2A, the keys are coming from publishers. And the key can purchase on so many different platforms, like you mentioned, your Steam, but also on G2A, also on eBay, also on Amazon, also on many, many other platforms. Prices can be lower, even 20, 30, 50%. How is that possible? When publisher produces a game, then more or less they have 6 weeks to sell it well. If they don't, it will not be a success. So the publisher have to deal with something which is called price sensitivity of the clients. So in the perfect world, again, every client can afford to pay $70, 70 euro, sometimes 80, sometimes 65 for the game. But in reality, over 50% of the clients cannot afford to buy the games in the full price because the games are expensive. Of course, there is some group of the clients and they can afford to buy with SRP. And these clients are targeted precisely by publishers. But at the same time, they want to sell the game to those clients who cannot afford to pay the full price. And it is not possible for the publisher to do it at the same time from the same platform. So how they do it? They sell it to different kind of wholesalers, retailers, business sellers in general. They sell it in a big bulks. So the wholesaler is coming and saying, hey, I want to buy 50,000 keys. So he got the discount, and the discount can be really massive. The discount can be like 30, 40, 50%. It depends on the volume. It depends on the payments. It depends how long you work with the publisher, etc. There was a time when G2A wanted to be official reseller of the publishers. It was 2011, 2012, 2013. And I was knocking the door, all the big publishers saying, hey, please, we would love to be official reseller of your game. G2A were leading European seller at that time of WoW, World of Warcraft. I was knocking to the door of Blizzard saying, hey, Blizzard, please, I would love to be official reseller. I'm buying now from wholesalers, but we are a big seller. I would love to be official reseller, directly buying from Blizzard and selling to my clients. Blizzard didn't want to do that. Neither the others. The gaming industry was, and in general still is, very hermetic on the level of the publishers. It's very difficult to get an official agreement. This is the reason why we pivoted to a marketplace. And now going back to this, how the market is organized. So publishers are selling directly to the clients with SRP. At the same time, are supplying other channels, off-price channels, like G2A, like
through those wholesalers.
Exactly, through those wholesalers. And of course, they are not branding this. Most often, you will not see on marketplaces big publishers offering the discounted product. Why? Because they cannot do this at the same time, selling with SRP.
I understand that, but isn't the country or the region another major factor in those wholesaling prices?
In the meaning?
In the meaning that in India, a wholesaler will pay a lot less for 50,000 keys than the wholesaler would pay in Europe.
It's a good point. So the point is that publishers would love to control the prices over countries. And that was the market in the past. But it is not fair that the client in Germany has to pay more only because he's earning more than in Poland or than in India. It should be the same price.
But that's your point of view. The publishers have a different point of view. So I'm wondering, you mentioned that you knocked on doors 10 years ago or so. What's your relationship with publishers today, with the big name game publishers? How happy do you think are they for Bartosz and his friends doing this nice price equality thing worldwide?
Luckily, I don't have to guess. I was guessing for several years, but the bigger G2A is, the more tools and the more possibilities we have. Over the last almost 15 years, G2A spent dozens of millions of dollars promoting gaming industry. Over 70 different esport teams, the biggest one in the world, were supporting by G2A. Over 100 events were supporting financially and in different ways by our company. We were creating the marketing campaigns. Watch this. The marketing campaigns promoting the titles of publishers. So the publisher has the premiere of the release of the game, and G2A is creating the whole campaign, bringing clients to this title, and publisher is not paying for this. G2A is paying for that. To sell more, of course, but at the end of the day, the publisher is benefiting from that because the keys, the games are coming from publishers, always. In Germany, just recently, end of last year, at the matches of Bayern Munich, of Borussia Dortmund, the gaming industry is there. Before we were doing the same with the Premier League. When you are asking me what is the sentiment of the publishers towards G2A, I know not only from the surveys we did, but also from these kind of activities we do, that they very much like us because we are basically bringing the money to them, selling their games, promoting the industry.
But so let me tie in there. Recently, for some reason, I needed for a virtual machine on my Macintosh, I needed a license of Windows. And on G2A.com, I paid like €5 for a Windows 11 whatever version. And I said, oh, I hope it works. It seems to be very cheap. And I ordered it. It worked fine. But I can't imagine that Microsoft is in any way happy for me to pay like €5 or €6 for a key for Windows, which they want to sell me through their own store for €100. So I still cannot believe that that Microsoft is saying, "Oh, we are happy that Bartosz is giving out this key for €5." So these keys obviously have to come from a reseller who is located in another region where there's simply a much lower standard price for Windows, or is it not?
The software is provided only by verified resellers. When you are a seller, your job is to earn money. So one of the strategy is to give very high price, have high margin, but you know as a seller that the volume will not be very high, but the margin will be decent. On the other side of the coin, we have the seller, which is saying, no, I'd rather prefer to have very small margin, but very fast rotation of my capital. So I'd rather to have not 30%, 50% of my margin, but 3%, 5%. But I know that through selling through G2A, I can do it super fast and I can do 10 offerings and sales rather than one.
Yeah, that principle is clear. Still, maybe Microsoft would want a European customer to pay more for Windows.
I believe that if Microsoft would like to influence the sellers, or watch out, any other publisher, they would do this easily. Every code is trackable. Every piece of software is trackable. Publisher is producing this and can track the way it goes on any instance. Sometimes big publisher, top 3 in the world, came to us saying, hey, G2A, we have the quarterly target to hit. We need to sell 50,000 more pieces of this particular game. Can we sell it through your marketplace? And we said, of course, you can do it. And they said, okay, but of course we cannot do it as we will use one of our reseller. Or G2A team said, yes, of course, no problem. Just follow terms and conditions and we will help you to promote the game. especially stock-listed companies, they have quarterly targets to hit. And they are basically fighting to get the client, to get the sell. And this is why the market have different price sensitivities. This is why the companies, the publishers, producers, they are trying to reach the client any way they can.
G2A is not the only marketplace or reseller or key seller in the world.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah. And you are situated or headquartered in the European Union. There might be other resellers of gaming keys and other software that are not located in the European Union. So do you feel at a disadvantage because they, at least in theory, should be able to offer even lower prices than you?
Following the regulations of European Union is extremely important. And the bigger your business is, the more you realize this. We basically provide sellers who use our platform tools allowing them to establish the buyer's geolocation. So as a buyer, you don't need to pick up your countries. I know that there are platforms that client is choosing from which country it is.
Yeah. And they might choose countries that are not within the European Union to not have to pay VAT, for example.
Yes.
But that's not happening on your platform.
No. It was the case many years ago. We have 200 countries. Imagine how difficult it is. Every country has a different regulations. Even in Europe, that's the reason why we work with dozens, literally with dozens, tax advisor, legal company, etc. It consumes a lot of money. Unfortunately, I would prefer the law would be simple.
You have a big marketplace and selling hundreds of thousands of key, I guess, every month, maybe more.
Until today, over 100 million items were sold on G2A.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So from your experience, because I will guess you still look at the numbers, which gaming genres are the most popular on your platform for the last couple of years? And is there a change you see?
I see a shift from a shift of popularity from triple A's to smaller, so sometimes double A. That's the one thing. I think the reason is because, like I said at the beginning, the clients, for them, it's very difficult to pay $70 for the new game. So they are looking for alternatives. And there are other titles like Helldivers or Palworld, a great example just from recent, or Project Zomboid. You would never say that, okay, what is the game Project Zomboid? And you can see it's running, being sold and sold and sold again and again, and clients love them. The second thing which I see is big acquisitions. I'm just waiting for EA to be sold. And we could see the Activision Blizzard, the ZeniMax, bought by Microsoft. We could see Bungie by Sony. And the list is long. And it's basically the game of the titans, in my opinion, because everybody can see that gaming industry is extremely, extremely interesting. And big tycoons, Apple, Amazon, Disney, Microsoft, you name them, we can see those companies. On the Far East, Tencent, they are looking for targets. They are looking for content. And they are fighting to each other to buy those big studios. So I'm pretty sure that we are waiting for just next acquisitions. Private equity funds, VC funds are sitting on cash. The United States, on the break of the years, it was $300 billion dry powder, which means that $300 billion money to be spent.
Which has not found yet a target for being spent.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There is one more trend worth to mention, omni-transactions. More and more titles are adapting the monetization format of becoming game as a service. The game is very, very easy for free, but then microtransactions for everything. Additional coin, click. Additional level, click. Additional posture, additional character, click. And it's very strong trend. Every company is looking how to earn money, gain money on this. And our job as a marketplaces is to adapt to this reality.
So you're going from, or you have to go from selling keys to games to selling in-game currency, right?
That could be the way. And within next couple of months, you will see new steps done by G2A.
There very recently has been a report by Newzoo about the parts of the overall playing time of gamers being spent with certain titles. And it came out, if the report is to be believed, that only a very few titles collect a huge amount of playing time. So it's like 5 of the top
48.
titles, like Fortnite, get 25% of the overall gamers' playing time. That must be not a good news for you, I guess, because it means that more and more playing time seems to be spent on very old games, so no new games are being bought. And also those publishers will have every interest in not sharing what they get in revenue by cosmetic sales within the games and other stuff. What are your feelings and thoughts about that?
To be exact, 48 titles are responsible for 90% of the playtime. Yeah.
Yes.
And 1,400 titles only for 10% playtime. Yeah. But let's remember, firstly, that we are talking about $200 billion industry, which is huge. It's such a big sea that everybody can find their place there. Sometimes people think, 20 years ago, the market was easy. Now it's very difficult because 20 years ago, we had this .com era and the entrance of them. And then 10 years later, you can hear, it was the VR beginnings and that was easy. And my conclusion out of that is that every time is very competitive. Every time is very competitive. So 20 years ago, it was very difficult because Jeff Bezos going from one investor to another, and he had to visit 70 investors to collect $1 million. And the most often question he heard was, what is internet? So imagine you want to build a platform and people are asking, hey, what is internet? And then 15 years later, we had blockchain and people were asking, hey, what is blockchain? And today we can see Bitcoin on $71,000. So every era, in my opinion, is very challenging. And you as an entrepreneur, but not only entrepreneur, also all the employees, all the teams, we have to be aware that it's our day-to-day job to find the solutions for the problems.
I'm wondering what the game developers say about such trends. For example, you mentioned that you will like to see that indie projects, I think you mentioned Palworld and a couple of others, are doing great, but that's a tiny few. With most indie developers, they cannot sell those numbers. They will never get those exposure to the public. And they need to sell at least a couple of 10,000 copies at a decent price. but you are part of a process which finds the lowest price for the customer, for the end customer in the market. And that does not mean for the indie studio to get enough money to survive. Same thing happened in music, where with all those groundbreaking successes like Spotify, only the very big labels or the very big groups and singers really had an advantage, and many small ones can't make a living anymore. What can be done, maybe even by you as a marketplace, to not have only 100 developers left in a couple of years instead of 10,000 trying to make a living?
I think the life of developers is very difficult because it is very competitive. There is over 1 million developers in the world. So we see powered and we are saying, wow, it's amazing to be a developer. You can create a huge success story. Oh, but for one powered, you have thousands of studios who didn't hit the target, who were not recognized. And this is basically the reality of being a developer. As I am aware, still G2A is the only one platform in the world who said to developers, hey, we would like to share our profits with you. And we created this special program for them, G2A Direct, when we said, we will share our profits to help you selling your game, to help you make money. Maybe that's why 300 of developers is working with us. And still, I would love to see more, of course, always. So,
yeah, because 300 out of 1 million doesn't seem awfully much. So what does that mean? I'm a developer and I want to enter your G2A Direct program. What does that mean? How do I get more money by that?
You can sell your game directly without any seller, wholesaler, anybody. Through our platform, we are starting helping you to sell your game, and we are sharing the profit with you, which none other platform is doing. It is also in our interest. That's why we are promoting gaming industry. That's why we are such an ambassador. The more developers is doing success, the better.
If I join your direct program and third party sells my game as a discounted price or whatever price, I, as a developer in the program, will get a certain percentage of 5% or so, or maybe 10, from you from that auction. So even if a wholesaler gets my keys cheap, I will still get a little bit of that money extra than I would get without the program. Is that right?
Yes, it's okay. Exactly, yes.
But still, the problem of ever discounted prices still hits me as such a small developer.
That's the market rule. This is not our rule. We are rather trying to fit into the market. But we are at least sharing with you and doing something that nobody else is doing. That's the reason why in my opinion, it's really worth to consider and to be a part of it, because nobody is giving you better rates. I mean, the biggest player on the market is charging you 30%.
Which should be Steam.
And still you have to compete with all other platforms that are selling. Take a look at Steam. You have Steam sale, and then you can see 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah, it's an open secret. The majority of sales is through those discounted sales. It's always exactly a sale.
Steam is doing exactly the same, but just a couple of times during the year. Thanks to this, the games are sold at all. Because otherwise, over 50% of the client cannot afford to buy this game at all. With a digital distribution, every next copy, if you are a publisher, a developer, every next copy of the game cost you almost nothing. There is no box. There is no plastic, paper, distribution cost, transportation, nothing. You are just doing like copy paste, giving one more game. It costs you zero, almost zero, like a little bit of space on your server and somebody who is in automatic way producing that. It's only the strategy which you are using, the tactics to sell the game. And that's why there is off-price market. And that's why I really believe it's very beneficial for the industry, because in general, more clients is buying games. There is more hype and vibe about gaming industry. More people are involved in playing.
There's another trend which could be beneficial or could be a problem, and that is AI. AI seems to be very good in grabbing stuff from everywhere and create new stuff from it by merging pictures, by merging videos, by creating text from other texts. Do you think that there is more challenge behind AI or more opportunity for the gaming world?
I think this coin has two sides. So what we can see is, of course, several developers, Ubisoft among them, developers, publishers, informed that they will be using AI to generate immersive experience, making NPC, non-playing characters, reacting dynamically in the game. So we can see one benefit: the games will be more flavored, more is gonna happening there. We see another benefit: cost should be lower because less people will be involved in this. The graphics, many of them will be created by AI. So the cost of the game, maybe, I don't believe it will be cheaper, but maybe they will not be more and more and more expensive. We have to remember that we are at the very beginning of AI. AI is everywhere right now. We are opening the fridge and AI is jumping. Hey, I am here, AI. Buzzword. But we are at the beginning of the cycle. AI was there from 1956, starting in Silicon Valley, etc. But after 70 years, we are still at the beginning, and now it's getting the speed. I don't think there is anybody who can predict where the AI ends with the gaming industry. There is so many different aspects of AI in the game creation, even in the way we are creating the marketing campaigns. So AI is everywhere, and it's getting the speed because everybody wants to use AI. Not too many people know how to do it properly. Many companies and people are testing. Many companies is investing in this space, but I think it will be a very different world within the next 5 years.
So far, you've been talking about AI as a development tool, which can make things cheaper. But do you think that AIs could create games? I mean, there are a lot of games out there in the microtransaction space that are not really very finely designed games. They are just made to make people pay a little thing, get a little more points, and so on and so on. Those kind of games, I presume, could be designed by an AI. Do you think that is a future?
At this moment, no. At this moment, AI cannot create a game itself, which will be a good one. I don't believe it. At this moment, AI can bring the success only with human involved. AI can be the second pair of eyes for human, or human can be the second pair of eyes for AI, and only then the game can be created. AI can cause the unification of creative ideas. That's another thing. This will, because everybody is going to use it. AI is working based on data. So it all depends on what kind of data you can feed the engine. AI is also a double-edged sword because it can be used to improve the economy of the game, to develop the new solutions. But also AI will be used to hack the systems. AI is already used by cyber criminals, bad actors. I think when we have AGI, general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, and we are pretty far from that, then the game can be created.
Designed by such an AI.
Yes.
By but AI. Not within 5 years.
Tough question. Not within 3 years.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Not within 3 years. Within 5, I don't know. Because it's speeding up. If you heard the last Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA speech, then you can see how powerful processors are already prepared. And that will be speeding up the growth of the machine learning and of using the artificial intelligence. 2022, China, Xi Jinping gave the decree when he said China must be number one company in AI by 2030. And 600 laboratories were created in China. There is literally a race between China and the United States. Who is going to be farther, better, sooner with the AGI, with AI in general. And we will see billions of dollars being pumped there within the next years. And we will see amazing results of that. I'm sure about it. So I wouldn't say what's going to happen within 5 years.
That leads me to my last question. Just in March, the Artificial Intelligence Act was passed by EU lawmakers. Do you think there's even a chance to limit AI usage?
Yes.
At this point in time?
I think there is a chance. I don't think it's too late. I am super happy it happened. I think European Union being slow comparing to the United States and China, when it comes to developments and new technologies. But when it comes to regulation, European Union can be a leader. It's very bureaucratic, and that can be an advantage because really European Union is taking care about the client, the citizens, etc. Not too many people is aware that we humans are creating through AI the creature which within the next 5 years will be 1,000 times, at least 1,000 times more intelligent than we are. So we have no idea what to expect because today when AI talks to AI, when we see the machine learning process, when the machine learn, then human have no idea what is happening inside. So let's imagine what's going to happen within the next 5 years. Without the regulation, it will be a disaster. With the regulation, we have the chance to put that in place and at least have a chance to control it.
So have you bought your little island somewhere with a bunker and a lot of resources and food and so on? Or are you an optimist?
No, not yes. I am the optimist. I think there is more good people than bad people. I think at the end of the day, people are smart. And at the end of the day, we human beings, we will do everything to survive. There is one more thing which is happening. The race is not about AI, in my opinion. The race is about the connection between human and AI to create a superhuman. Big companies are not working to create AI to have a tool. at the end of the day, we will see a human being with the chip and AI inside. So we have a human with the technology implemented in us. So we will have access to all the data which is available online and the engine to process that data. And then hopefully human being will be making decisions. This is the game, in my opinion.
Okay. Bartosz Skracek, I really thank you for your time and for your thoughts. I personally will prefer to stay a normal human. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jörg. It was great pleasure to spend this time with you.